How you going, guys? My name's Fred, and today my guest is Julie. Julie is another CRPS patient, and you've had it for quite some time. My understanding is how are you for starters? Thanks for joining us.
Um, Thanks for having me. This is a good opportunity, I feel, and yeah, I've 10 years into this now, 10 year sentence, or 10 years into this life sentence.
Okay. How did you first get your CRPS? Was that an injury, or was yours sort of out of the blue, like some people get?
No, no, it's a long kind of affair. 10 years ago, or about 10 and a half years ago now, um, fighting a fire, got called out about 3:30 in the morning,
Yeah.
and twisted my ankle. That's all I did was twist my left ankle at this fire. And the doctors left me immobilized for 6 months, which 3 months in, my doctors wrote to the surgeon saying it's going to cause deterioration having my ankle immobilized. And
Yeah.
6 months later, when I finally went for this ligament replacement surgery, my left ankle had deteriorated
Oh.
and needed my bone, my ankle joint, so an osteochondrial defect, needed my ankle joint rebuilt, and in doing so, they don't know if I got this from surgery or the metals. They claim the hardware in my ankle was titanium,
Yeah.
and that's what my medical record stated. And they kept saying nobody rejects titanium. And then a year later, when they finally removed them, it was surgical steel, so I rejected the metals. I was diagnosed 2 months after I got the, or 2 months after surgery, right quick.
Yeah, yeah, okay. That was good you got diagnosed quick, but obviously didn't help in treatment then, did it? Did they put you straight into vigorous treatment? You being diagnosed early?
Yeah, I actually started what they call parasympathetic nerve blocks on my left ankle, and it's where they put a tourniquet on around your knee, and it's just frozen, so it's like an anesthetic in your lower leg.
Yeah.
2 years of those and treatments. I was almost clear. My left ankle was almost completely almost full remission. And the government canceled pain clinic treatments. And 2 years after that, I also injured my right leg. And through a another total disaster with doctors mishandling me, um, I ended up having it spread to my right leg. So my lower right leg became involved. My treatments were canceled. My left ankle came back with a vengeance, and my right leg involved as well.
Wow.
And that's 8 years ago now. And there were no treatments, there was nothing. So another 3 years passed. And about 5 years ago now, I became diabetic. And suddenly,
Oh.
the worry became on with my feet, diabetics and feet. So I was sent back down for treatment. And this time it really wasn't any treatment, it was more medication management, which was great
Yeah.
because I really, really needed that as well.
Yeah.
Um, as a CRPS patient, what a lot of people don't realize is your brain naturally secretes opioids. And
Mm-hmm.
when a pain patient, a chronic pain patient, suffers extensive pain like CRPS patients do, your brain is running at a deficit for opioids. And
Mm-hmm.
when you start taking medications, the first bit of medications you're taking goes to replace or replenish that deficit. So, actually, a small percentage of the narcotic or opioid that you're actually taking goes to fight pain versus replenishing what your brain has already exhausted. So, a lot of people don't realize that, including doctors. Sadly, the number of doctors who don't understand this disease is far outnumbers the
Yeah.
doctors that do understand this disease.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been a nightmare. Um, 2.5 years ago, I got medevaced out. They changed my medication, and because I wasn't properly monitored, we lived in a small community in the Arctic.
Right.
And because I wasn't properly monitored, I had a severe adverse reaction and spent 5 days on life support. It almost killed
Oh.
me. And in that episode, because I wasn't handled correctly, they had no idea about the CRPS and did not take that into consideration whatsoever. This spread it to most of my body, my internal organs, my autonomic system, my autoimmune system, my brain. It's far exceeded. It's a nightmare, just an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, yeah, I bet. So you said you injured yourself firefighting. Is that what you done for a living beforehand, or that was volunteer work?
It was actually both. It was a volunteer department. I spent about 4.5 years as an EMT prior to that. In the Arctic, most of the departments, actually Canada and the States, even worldwide, a lot of departments are volunteers. And
Mm,
I actually spent about 2.5 years volunteering during the day as well with the administration and created
okay.
my own job, which was amazing. So I worked part-time from 1 to 5 at the fire hall and volunteer, throughout the evenings, nights, and weekends. So beyond business,
Oh,
1 to 5 in the afternoon, it was all volunteer.
yeah,
But I spent about 17 and a half active years as a volunteer firefighter and retired actually as deputy chief, training officer, director of emergency measures for our region. It was my career, it was my life entirely, I guess.
yeah, yeah. And you haven't worked since your injury, I assume then?
No, actually, I worked for the next 5 years after I got injured, and
Okay.
which was a challenge because by then I had both legs fully involved and
Yeah,
just fought through it because nobody understood what it was. Everybody expected me to just keep going, and because I'm, I guess, stronger, had to be for my career, and I did. I just kind of pushed through it. Is basically what it is, and kept going to work. And then it was about 5 years later that I finally made the decision because of medications I was taking, because of the fact
yeah,
that I was really slowing down. This was spreading up my knees. That I just couldn't do it any longer. And I
yeah.
couldn't be responsible for other firefighters at an emergency scene when I'm taking those medications and I can't move the way I needed to. So
Fair enough.
I had to walk
Yeah,
away from my life.
yeah, yeah. It's hard,
Yep.
isn't it?
I was 6 years ago now.
Yep, yep. Well,
And so,
mm,
yeah, that was, I guess, probably one of the hardest days that I had was to walk away from a career.
yeah,
That I'd spent so much time in community building to a disease that was caused by other people's problems or
yeah,
negligence
yep,
is what it is, plain and simple negligence.
yep, yep, yep. I get that.
If I sound a
Mm,
bit bitter, I still am at
no,
times,
you,
because
you have
it's,
a right to. You got
what people don't
CRPS.
realize. Yeah, well, yeah, you get this disease, and with that, you get so much loss. You lose your
Mm,
job, your friends walk away, your family
yeah,
walks away, um, and the medical community walks away from you.
yeah,
My husband and I have walked this road for 10 years on our own. It's
yep,
not been
yep.
a good thing.
It's yeah, yeah, yeah. But I mean, the sad thing is so many of us go through the same process, and
Yeah,
I've been saying it from the start that once you're diagnosed with CRPS, there should be this full-on treatment regimen that's thrown at you, from psychological to
yeah,
physiotherapy to your medications, and you should have a whole team working on you, like they do with a lot of other major diseases, MS, um, and AIDS or cancer or whatever. They throw you into a whole
yeah,
clinic
good.
with a whole team of people that have been researching it, and you know experts on it, and from the nurses to the people behind the desk, all the way up through to the doctors. And here we are,
Yeah, oh,
lost and
I agree.
alone.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, there's some definite
I know
change
it's
that needs to come.
because you're educating your doctors. You're educating your
Hmm.
doctors every time you go in. Every time, Fred. You're
Mm.
teaching your doctors something new because they just don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Mm. So how was your experience being with the
It,
doctors
it
lately?
floored
Have you having
a
have
nightmare.
you
We
had
moved.
troubles with them believing you and stuff like that along the way and finding that right doctor that understands CRPS? Have you managed to find a doctor that understands CRPS?
Not really. 2 years ago, or about 2 year and a half ago now, we were forced to leave the Arctic after, I guess, about 30 years in the Arctic and 20 years in our last community. And we had to leave. There wasn't the medical care. And my specialist said to me that they just didn't have anything else for me. They basically cut me loose.
Yeah,
Medication management remained, thank goodness, because moving here has been a nightmare beyond absolute belief.
right.
Um, I guess I've just recently been referred to a clinic about 4 hours away from us. And unfortunately for me, it's a holistic clinic. They do offer, I guess, referrals to ketamine infusions, and that's what my goal is because I really believe that's one of the answers to this disease.
Yeah,
And that's going to be a way in which I can reduce some of the medications I take. But at the hospital here, some doctors don't even know what CRPS stands for.
yeah,
And as far as they're concerned, there's absolutely nothing wrong with me. Yet, in my
mm,
referral to this clinic, the doctor goes and writes, and this woman has a file 2 feet thick. In other words, do you expect me to review and send all of that? A very
yeah.
sarcastic remark. Yet, if I go in to see them, her only view is to get me off these medications. And just the audacity of this doctor to say to me that I am no longer a productive member of society, so I don't need any sleep medications. Excuse me? Like, unbelievable.
Yeah,
And I had an appointment with a doctor who actually had gone to the pain clinic to take some training and is planning on having a satellite clinic in town here for the pain clinic. She won't even see me. I had an appointment with her, and I was put back to the other doctor who is literally stripping everybody of their medications. Why? Because there's addicts out there.
yeah,
Again, we pay the price for other people.
yes,
Um,
yes,
like you said, where there's no research, there's no process for caring for patients. My husband
yeah,
and I are still walking alone. It's been several nights and probably three or four that Harold has spent lying on the couch here because I've been so sick that we don't know how I'm going to survive the night because I've been so sick. Yet I don't
yeah,
feel like I can go to the hospital here. I, I
yeah,
won't go. The way I'm
yeah,
treated, I'm treated like an addict, that there's
yep.
nothing wrong with me. Yet if they look at my bone scans, they'll see over 200 old and new fractures in my feet alone. Like,
Wow.
geez, you know,
Oh,
you feel
that's
like banging your head up
deterioration.
against a wall. Like, what part? Yeah,
Yeah.
I have actual bone damage, and it's in bone scans, but they won't look at my records.
Yes. Yeah.
It's. I have no idea. I'm completely floored over how they can, how they can sleep at night when they just turn patients away like this and treat
Yeah.
us this way. Like, we didn't look for this disease; it attacked us.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the medical
It's
community
very.
are the ones that we look to for help. They're the ones that, they're the place that we go to because we don't know what's going on, and they're the professionals. And when you've got to try and tell them what's happening to you and explain it to them, they don't like that. You know what I mean? That I haven't come across a very rarely. I mean, I've got a really good GP at the moment who um, has learnt to listen to me and researches has a quick look up at what I say, and he'll have a quick look up and he says, "Oh, well, someone else does agree with you and everything." I'm like, "Well, I got my information from the same place." Um, so yeah, and he's really good, but just so many of them that you can't tell them about a new symptom about CRPS, or even if they do know about it, that they're set in what they know about it. And I've had doctors, plenty of them, tell me that it wasn't going to spread. You'll get no spread. It doesn't. CRPS
Oh,
doesn't spread. No, no,
yep,
no, no. That doesn't happen. That's all just hearsay and stuff like that. I got that for several
it
years
spreads
until it
entirely,
spread,
full
and I went
body.
back to the doctor, and I'm like, "Oh, what's this? Ah, you must be a rare case."
Yeah.
Well, no. No, I'm not. Mm.
Well, Harold and I had no idea until the springtime. I didn't have any idea these support groups existed. So Harold and I walked this road entirely alone, knowing
Hmm.
absolutely nobody else who had this disease. And the garbage the doctors fed us, it's not going to spread. It's not going to do this. It's not going to do that. But yet, when I go in and tell them, "Oh, this is happening," well, I shut right down because it's like it is happening, and they know that unless it is actually happening to you, you couldn't describe it in the same
Mm.
manner in
Mm.
which somebody who's experiencing it can.
Yeah, yeah,
And I find just what I'm finding lately, or what we've been finding, is we spent 3 weeks in Thunder Bay, and in that entire city, I could not find a doctor. And why? Because in Ontario now you have to fill out an application form, and the doctor then decides based on who you are and what's wrong with you whether they want to see you or not. Well, as soon
yeah,
as they see CRPS on the list, done, denied. I can't
yeah.
even get a family doctor. Yet it's
Too
every
hard basket.
Canadian's civil right
Yeah,
to
yeah,
have a family doctor. So my human rights are being violated as well because I can't find a doctor. Like,
yeah,
the past few days I spent 2 days ago, I was really, really sick for about 2, 3 days. And again, absolutely nobody to go and get any help from, get any
yeah,
reference, anything whatsoever. We're stuck
yeah,
figuring it out on our own. Now what do we
yeah,
do? And just work on it symptom by symptom by symptom. Yet like I said to my husband, I never wanted to be a doctor. Yet that's exactly, I've become my own doctor, is what I've become.
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know what? You know what's a joke is when somebody feels, when somebody not feels, when somebody, a person, has to go to a veterinarian and say your animal has an infection so you can get antibiotics because you can't
oh,
go to the doctor and get them. There is something vastly wrong. There's something majorly wrong here, Fred.
yeah, 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 yes, no, the,
And that's happened twice.
yeah, yeah,
It's unbelievable. It's not just, it's not just medications for pain. It's antibiotics. Like antibiotic, when you can smell an infection, it's open, it's festering, you can smell it.
yeah,
And the doctor
yeah,
says, "Oh well, we have to wait for the blood work to come back." Well, can't you smell this?
yeah,
Can't you see that? Oh well, we'll just wait. You see, I don't present the way the average person does. I have three fully functioning kidneys. So until an
yeah,
infection becomes a staph infection with me, which is your blood, I don't show infection at all. My
okay,
appendix actually ruptured 12 years ago, and I had no signs and symptoms. Luckily, there was a surgeon in our community just on up there, like a locum, and happened to look at me and he said, "I think it's your appendix, emergency surgery." And he was right. They were getting ready to send me home again from the hospital, saying, "We can't figure it out. We don't know what your problem is."
yeah,
I had no pain, but I was really sick. I just didn't have any pain. Yeah, and my blood work, nothing showed it. And until it becomes a staph infection, I don't show anything. So I'm
oh,
again raked over the coals when I'm sick and go looking for help and turned away again. It's, I don't know. I'm right now, I am at such a loss, Fred. I am sometimes feeling so alone because
yeah,
even though my husband understands, I need a doctor to hear me. I need to
yeah,
be seen by somebody who can help me. Because what's going to happen is I'm going to get in to see somebody, and they're going to say it's too late because of the number of systems that I've got involved.
yes, yep, yep, and it will keep getting worse if you don't, especially if you're getting infections and and your bone density is that bad. You desperately need to be seen by doctors, specialists. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Well, hopefully somebody
And
who's
one more
watching
thing,
this out there might know somebody in your area or something, and maybe a better put you in touch with somebody as well. Um, you
yeah,
know.
we're in Northern Ontario, but we're willing to travel wherever we need to go. As it stands, I have to return to Edmonton, well, it's about 7,400 kilometers return every 3 months just to get my prescriptions because I
Yeah.
can't find a doctor here to help me.
yeah,
There are so many addicts. Because of the addicts, it's the honest pain patients are the ones who are being affected.
yeah,
Addicts are still carrying on, getting what they want and what they need. It's us who need it and are
yeah.
suffering, and you got to do it in silence. You're left
Mm,
alone, completely alone. And that's one of the reasons why I was happy to be able to talk about this, is to let people know that it can get really bad. It can get just horrendous. Um,
mm,
I don't look at tomorrow. I look at surviving each day as it comes because I don't live anymore. I survive each day. And
yeah,
that's not life. That's not how living should be.
yeah,
Um, so I've done this to let other people know they're not alone. And again, if somebody can help me, you know, I'm at that point now where I need anything because this is just it can't go on. Like I'm only
yeah.
52 years old. The life's not supposed to be this way.
No, no, that's right. You're getting close to retirement age where you get to, have your time, It's, you'll never, you can't see that in the future anymore, can you? You stop looking towards the future and you just
Well,
look towards getting through today or tonight or, you know what I mean? Getting through
yeah.
until your next appointment. Um, yeah, you do. You stop looking
Well, it's not.
long term, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well,
Mm,
I never had any plans of retirement. I love my job. Um, there's not a
mm,
lot of people who can say they lived their dream. And I did. I lived my dream for 25 years in
yeah,
emergency services. And I could never see myself walking away. I responded to this fire. We were on holidays at our cabin. And I heard the pager go, and I laid there thinking, okay, wait and hear what it is, because if it's something minor, those guys could deal with it. Being a
yeah,
small volunteer department, we didn't have mutual aid. All we had was whoever came out to each fire. And I heard the fire chief going down what they call Hospital Hill, probably about 2 kilometers from where the fire was, reporting that it was a what we used to call a holy F fire,
yeah,
a bad one, and basically send all we've got. So I decided, okay, well, I guess I'm going. I got up from the cabin, left my husband sleeping, jumped on my skidoo, and rode to the fire, and twisted my ankle, which has ideally destroyed my life. And anybody
yeah,
who was ever in a position to help me hasn't.
mm,
It's unbelievable. And the amount of people I've learned, Fred, who are in the same position as us, who've had
yeah,
their life completely stripped of them. And I'm lucky I've got a couple of support, my husband, my sister, and a couple of friends who kind of understand as much as they can. But there's a lot of people who have even less than that.
yeah,
It does,
yeah,
it completely strips you of everything you ever had.
yeah. That's where the support groups are good as well. I mean, I had mine 11, 12 years ago, so just a little bit longer than you. And back then, even though the internet was around, Facebook was in its infancy, if it was around, and so you didn't think to get on the internet and look for support groups. So as the years go by, even though you start using the
No,
internet more and more, it just never occurs to you to think. So it was only maybe 3 years ago myself that I think a therapist said it to me or something. You know what I mean? Do you jump on the support groups and stuff? And I'm like, well, I'm on Facebook. Well, I never thought about looking up a support group. And no, I found it, very
exactly.
comforting
Exactly.
finding that I wasn't alone and finding that, my symptoms, weren't mine and I wasn't going crazy. Because if you don't
Yep.
talk to anybody else with it, you're only told limited stuff by the doctors as well. I was told it wouldn't spread. I was told it was just chronic pain. I wasn't
Yep.
told about any of the other symptoms whatsoever.
Yep.
And so when they start coming on, it's, well, it's just my body breaking down, or is this? You don't even associate it to CRPS at first until somebody else mentions it. And then you're like, oh, so these are all common
Yep.
conditions of complex regional pain syndrome? You've got to be kidding. How come I wasn't told? How come there's no extra treatment for this?
Yes.
Um, yeah,
Oh, I agree, Fred. I echo every single word that you say. It was my sister who found the support groups because, like you, I never thought of Googling or
mm,
going on Facebook and looking for any. I had no idea that support
no,
groups there were support groups out there. And I really believe that I was so like in my community of 3,600 or so, and the region that kind of we were a hub community for. Nobody else had it. I know of
Yeah,
nobody else in the entire Northwest Territories who suffered this disease. So we
yeah,
completely walked alone. The doctors had no idea, even moving down here. It's been, I know I go to my specialists or the St. Joe's clinic, 2-day clinic I went to a month ago, and they learned again a lot from what was going on with me. They learned about this disease. And it's
yeah,
very disconcerting, like you said, when you got to tell your doctor what's wrong
yeah, yeah,
and what the possible fix is.
yeah, yeah. You've got to convince them
It's
of what
it's
to do
scary.
medically, and then whether they have the interest or the time to start researching or looking it up. Because I mean, I
Exactly.
understand why a doctor's not
Yeah.
just going to go, "Oh, you want a ketamine infusion? Okay, no worries, I'll send you off to one." I understand that, but they've at least got to, if they don't understand CRPS, they've at
Yeah.
least got to acknowledge that you know more than them, and that's a possibility. So go and research it. Just spend 10 minutes. They've got certain uh, websites and stuff that they go to for their medical research and the medical journals and stuff like that. So they don't just hit in Google and start getting random websites. When a doctor searches it through their computer at work, there are set group, set places to search from. So their information is accurate as can be. So it's not hard for them to type it into their computer and look
Yes.
it up and find regular treatments, find out bits of information, and they don't have to spend a lot of time on it. They don't have to spend hours and hours doing it as long as they're open-minded. That's, that's the thing.
Yeah. And I found none of that. I read, now with the support groups, I read of some people who say they've got such good doctors who understand, who work through them with things. You know how what I wouldn't give to have a doctor that I could sit down and just have a frank conversation with and not
Hmm.
feel that I've got to defend A, my medication use, B, what my disease and disorder is, C, what's going on with me now, because, that possibly couldn't be happening. Well, it is. They won't
Hmm.
look at my bone scans. If somebody breaks a bone in their foot, it's treated. I've got 3 breaks in my feet, 3 fractures in my feet right now that I walk on constantly. And because I do walk on them, if I'm going any distance, I use a walker now. A cane around the house because I just don't have room in the house for a walker. Um, but I shouldn't have to do this. I should have the support, the help. If they review my file and my history and my current information, they can see what where it is, where it's spread, what's happening. I've got test results that show
Yeah,
what's keeping this disease active, the amount of bone damage I have in my body. Yet
yeah,
no ortho will come anywhere near me because of the degree of CRPS that I have. I can't
yeah,
find anybody to touch me. Yet nothing's wrong with me. Come on, one
yeah.
or the other. You can't have both.
Yep, yep, that's true. I see what you mean. They are
I know I
being
sound
very
frustrated.
hypocritical in their decision. Yeah. Mm.
Yep, it's ignorance, and they won't take, like you said, the 10 minutes. What I'm getting, and I'm supporting everybody I can talk to, get a medical alert bracelet because a couple of things from being running ambulance for so many years and medical calls. When you go into a hospital, if you have a medical alert bracelet on, they have to recognize that it's documented. And if you have CRPS on your bracelet, it's forcing them to at least look up and see what CRPS stands for.
Yep,
So there's a bit more responsibility and ownership that the doctors have to take wearing a medical alert bracelet. So I've got
yep,
that's in the works right now for me is getting one of those.
yeah.
Somebody else
I
mentioned it. I thought that's a fantastic idea.
I also
It
see it as a
forces
sign that you're
a
taking
doctor
your
to look to
disability
investigate at least.
serious. Yeah, I see it as a sign that you're taking your disability serious, and the more seriously you take your disability, the more serious the doctors will take it as well. So wearing a medical alert bracelet shows that you are in fear of injury and of being hurt, and of going to the
Proactive.
hospital and stuff like that, that you need specified treatment because of your condition. And it shows, yeah, just shows that you
Yes.
are more sincere and yeah, about your own condition. And I think that helps, you know. I wear one. I don't have mine official with the foundation or anything like that, which I should do because they're not too much. I just got mine from a key engraving,
Yeah.
and I got CRPS on the
It's a
top and
really
then
good
C
idea,
wallet
Fred.
underneath, and then I put a card in my wallet with, you know what I mean? Don't touch the right arm,
Yes.
the
Yep.
medications I'm on in general, so that
But
they know I'm on morphine and
if
stuff.
you've got
So,
that bracelet on, yep, perfect.
mm,
Yep,
mm,
perfect. But how that bracelet and encourage others to wear a bracelet as well because it forces them to document. And if they
yep,
document, then you've got at least some recourse.
yep,
Um, unless it costs you, a major amount of money as well. If you have to go to the hospital, do so by ambulance. The reason why is because it leaves a paper trail. So it's not just
yeah,
a matter of you going into the hospital and them saying whatever they want. I've been so badly abused by doctors, I don't trust them in the slightest. After what they've done to me over the years, my husband comes to every single appointment with me. And we're actually thinking of trying to find somebody with a title coming with us as well because of the way we're being treated. I'm being treated. It's unbelievable what doctors have done to me. They've made me sick on purpose over medications because
yeah.
they believe I'm an addict. They actually made me sick and then watched me continue to be sick without doing anything whatsoever to help me.
Makes you want
And
to take a lawyer
by
with you.
at Christmas time, I had to get a medication here. Just about at Christmas
Yeah,
time here, I'll just tell this very quickly. Um, when the pharmacy could get my prescription filled in time before my specialist closed over the holidays. So I went to the pharmacy to get my medications and was told, oh, sorry, we didn't get your fax in. So I went to the local doctor here with my prescriptions, my old bottles, explaining what the situation was and could I get just a minimal amount to do me for pain relief and to prevent withdrawals over the holidays.
yeah.
Um, Immediately, this doctor viewed me as an addict, almost called me that, absolutely refused to give me this medication and said, well, I'll give you this one. My pharmacist spoke to him and told him of my track record, which is perfect. If anything, I'm late picking up my medications, never ever early, never.
Hmm.
Still, this doctor would not budge. And he gave me a replacement, except instead of giving me a small prescription to take home, I had to go to the hospital 4 times a day to have a nurse witness me taking this pill, one pill. So 4 times a day, I actually went about twice because I was so sick with withdrawals. I was sick as can be. And at the hospital, just a small town hospital here, the doctor
Yeah.
told the nurse, I am non-emergent. So I am not to be seen until every other patient in the waiting room has been seen. Even if somebody
Oh,
comes in after me, they will be seen before I am. They watch me go to the washroom and be sick, sometimes waiting 2 to 3 hours to get one pill. And then after the nurse heard kind of my side of the story when I was in there, they were shocked as to what the doctor and they're the ones who told me what the doctor was telling them. And
yeah,
this doctor took it a step further. 3 years ago, I surrendered my driver's license because I didn't think I should be driving any longer.
yeah.
This guy wrote a letter to the Ministry of Transportation and had my license suspended for driving under the influence of illegal and illicit drugs. I didn't drive myself there. We didn't even talk about driving. I don't even hold a driver's license. Yet this doctor took it upon himself. Then that's not abuse.
Yeah, yeah. Why can't he take it upon himself to research CRPS? It'll probably take the same amount of time as it would to put in a complaint about somebody, fill out the paperwork, you know. That's ridiculous. Yeah. No, that's horrible. I
And I
mean,
didn't even drive.
to sit around
So
three or four
a
hours
36 year, yeah,
waiting for a pill so that they can witness you taking it,
yep.
that's an insult. That really is. That's horrible. Mm.
unbelievably insulting, humiliating. And he was a locum. The hospital said, "Oh, we're not going to have him back," when I filed a formal complaint. And when I filed the formal complaint, don't do that in a small town either, because then you lose whatever other services were available. I had a couple
Mm,
other things going on, and I was completely dropped from everything when I filed a formal complaint. It's You're just
mm,
treated like garbage. I can't
yeah,
believe how they can treat people, human beings, how they can treat us.
yeah.
It's if
Do
it
they
was
have a
called
medical
cancer, and I'm
oath?
not trying
You
to
know?
be nasty over any disease.
Mm,
Yep. If it was called cancer, you would have treatment, you would have everything you needed. But because our disease is so unknown, which is not our fault, it's because doctors haven't taken the time to educate themselves.
yeah.
We are the ones who suffer, and we suffer
Mm-hmm.
immensely. I can see why this is called the suicide disease. If it wasn't for the fact that I had my husband, who's my rock, we've been
Mm-hmm.
together for 34 years, I don't know, Fred, if I'd still be here now because of how bad it can get.
Mm,
That's the reality of it.
yeah, it is. Unfortunately, it is. Mm,
You got to find yourself something. It is like a husband, and if I didn't have him, I really don't know. I can't say if I really would be here. Between him
mm,
helping me medically and being my rock, because you lose so much, Fred, as you know,
mm.
family, friends, everybody, because this
Yep.
disease is so horrendous and what it
Mm-hmm.
does to you. Um, People walk away after a while.
Mm, yep.
So, you're doubly damned in every direction. It's
Yeah.
it's a loss. You're a burden on somebody.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
the most debilitating. And like my husband says, other diseases, expiry dates, so to speak. This you can live with for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. It's
Yeah. Well, that's it. Like you say, I mean,
unbelievable.
it's easy to compare it to cancer because cancer. Everybody knows cancer. Everybody's heard of cancer. The cancer funding and awareness is just through the roof, and there's so many varieties of cancer. But you tell your friends and family you've got cancer, and they rally around you. That's the general consensus of what I see. Is you know what I
Yeah,
mean? When people like
exactly.
that, I've had family members die from cancer, and I don't try not to really compare them, but I only compare them because of awareness. You know what I mean? That's how I compare them, is just awareness. I mean, you can use, multiple sclerosis and anything like that,
They're very similar,
doctors
though.
know all about it, and you tell people you've got that and your family and that will rally
Yes.
around you. And you tell them you've got CRPS and what have you got? Next week, next year, what was that word
Yeah.
again? you
What's the
know?
matter?
Yeah, yeah, you're still not better yet, you know?
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. It's unbelievable.
Thought you would have recovered by
Yeah,
now.
it is. It's unbelievable
Yep.
because we walk alone. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And after year after year, well, like you're a little bit longer than me. Um, And there's some people who've been suffering this 20 years, 30 years. I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine somebody young suffering this disease. I was
Yeah.
42 actually when this happened, or 41
Yeah.
when this happened. I was 41. And I couldn't imagine. I had at least my 20s and 30s, to
Yeah.
really live. And I did. And I think that's what makes it harder now because I don't have that.
Yeah.
I've taken that away from my husband as well because he can't
Yes.
do the things that we used to do because I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but you walk the road alone.
Mm.
There's no awareness, there's no knowledge, there's no help, and there's more and more of us that are being diagnosed. I think it's a lot more common than what people are being diagnosed because a lot are being misdiagnosed.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I think so too. I think when you really look at the numbers, it's hard to call it a rare disease. Um, there's probably 1 million people or
Not
something
anymore.
worldwide, 2 million, whatever it be, but that's hardly a rare disease. There's a lot rarer diseases um, than that for sure. You
That
know
are known.
that are known, yeah, accepted and
And
treated
this
and researched. Um, yeah, Yep.
recognized.
Recognized. Yep. It's the word. Mm.
My husband and I, we went we went bald about five, maybe six times for researching for cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Over the period of that I was with the fire department, over about a 17-year period, or 16 years or so. We went bald four to five, about five to six times actually, for a variety of different cancer support, cancer
Yep.
patient support, research, blah, blah, blah. We did that so many times. And yet, here I'm afflicted with something which sometimes I do compare it to cancer because it eats your body from the inside out, basically.
Yeah.
By your nervous system not functioning properly, your body
Yeah.
eventually starts deteriorating and shutting down. That's cancer. It's the same
Yeah.
thing. It's just not
Yeah.
called cancer.
Yeah.
Um, but
I mean,
like
we're in
you
more
said,
pain and
there's a
stuff,
lot
but
more.
we're just not terminal. Because we're not terminal, everyone thinks
No,
we're
we,
okay to
we
be
are
left
eventually.
alone.
We are
You're not going to
eventually.
die. You'll be right.
Yeah,
You know? It's like, well, it will end me earlier.
yeah.
It will. I can't,
It,
you know what I mean? I can't see me
it is
living
going to.
the same kind of long-term life I would have if I didn't have CRPS. It will end me earlier because of my system shutting down, not being able to digest
That's
food
right.
properly and stuff like that. Absolutely. Mm.
It attacks you internally, and that's what people don't see. My feet are between a gray, dark brown, dark red color. Yet,
Hmm.
there's nothing wrong. They just don't. They don't want to research. They don't want to take the time. Anything that's complex now, and for some reason, I don't know why. I guess nobody important enough has gotten CRPS. That's what I kind of joke and say. Nobody important enough
Yeah.
with enough money has
Yep.
gotten CRPS.
Yep.
Because it's crazy that there's nothing out there for us.
Yeah. 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 You're right. You're right. Yeah. We don't have um, if we had that public face, if we had that public figure, somebody, like you say, important, a musician, an actor or something that ended up getting CRPS from something as simple as a twisted ankle as well. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? There's also the way that they get it would also help impact too. If they were up on stage, twist their ankle, and there they are crippled for the rest of their life. Not that I wish it upon anybody, but
That's
it would give awareness. It would provide awareness because they would throw themselves into it. They'd have the money and they'd have the public behind them to do so. And that's generally what these people do when they get breast cancer or some kind of disease or something like that, throat cancer or something. One of, some famous actor, they throw themselves into campaigning for that and, give money away for research for it and stuff. Um, and just imagine what, if some multimillionaire would happen to give a couple of $1 million for research into CRPS, what that would do for us, you know. If they had a TV adverts
oh,
going,
it's so
TV
much
campaigns,
unbelievable.
just explaining it, there could be so much that could be done that are cheap to some people. The stuff is, me and you can't afford it, but there's people out there who, it's a, dip in their back pocket to pay for something like that. Yeah, so just need to
Yeah,
find
well,
them
it's
right
nobody
people.
who's been recognized enough, and that's why there's nothing that's going into it.
Hmm.
And that's where you keep talking. Eventually, somebody is going to, and like I said, like you said, I don't wish this upon anybody. Um, but maybe it's going to take somebody who's got some money exactly in their back pocket that
Yeah,
can put it into what you and I can't afford to do.
yeah,
My husband and myself have paid for everything that we have, and thankfully paid everything off because we're now limited to my disability for an income, which
hmm,
is really hard after we've both been working our entire lives and
yeah,
always had an income, always had money. And now that's taken away from me, my ability to earn. I can never earn a living again, Fred. That
hmm,
is unbelievable. At my age, that I'll never ever stand a chance of working again, just
hmm,
because of the level of involvement. The ketamine is hopefully going to have some effect, but it's not going to have the effect on me that it does on somebody who's got one limb involved, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Everyone, takes it differently. Everybody, some people get really good pain relief from it. Some people get just a couple of days worth compared to someone else's months worth. Some people don't get any pain relief from it at all. Um, that's
mm,
unfortunate. The thing. Same with the Calmare brain scrambler. I've heard some really good results from that. People have had half the treatments they're meant to have,
I've heard,
and
yeah,
their limbs instantly unseize and everything. When they've got seized joints or seized hands and stuff like that, they actually the claw hand it unseizes immediately. But then I've heard of people that have had the Calmere and it's done nothing at all for them. Um, so we're all hit and miss, unfortunately, and that makes
how
it hard for
disappointing.
treatment. What's that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I mean, the
that makes it impossible. Um, and exactly that, because there's no set treatments either.
no, no, there's no treatment plan. So if you do convince your doctor you've got CRPS and they look it up, there's no treatment plan for them to look up. There's no official treatment plan. So I mean, ketamine and Calmare and everything like that isn't there as a treatment option to help cure CRPS because they just haven't done enough research. They haven't got enough numbers on it. It hasn't helped enough people, whatever it is. But I mean, I know like the RSDSA group have put out informational stuff on ketamine and how it should be used for medical procedures and stuff like that. Um, but whether that gets recognised in your country or in my country um, is different stories. You know what I mean? It's like I said that they probably don't have the RSDSA
Right.
website. Well, my doctor doesn't have that as an option to research when he looks up CRPS. He's set with his Australian
Okay.
um, confirmed, recognised. Well, they don't have to be Australian websites, Australian information, but the ones that are recognised by our medical institute, and you'll have the same over there as well. You know, and so they're all different.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of things, but we don't have CalMare here in Ontario or Canada. That's only the States. It's not available in
Yep,
Canada, the CalMare treatment. Um,
yep. It's not available here
so our
either.
real option
So,
only, and especially if
well,
you've got an intern, it's not, you don't have it either,
well,
the CalMare.
it's been authorized that it can be used here, but they don't have any machine here or anything like that yet. We've still got to wait for
Okay.
somebody because there's only a couple of machines worldwide and they're all in America.
Okay.
So to get one brought over here with a doctor would be expensive, and then you'd have to get everybody in Australia to go to them, I would say, you know. So you'd need a few machines here. So it's something you've got to wait for it to be manufactured more, be recognised more. Once it gets used more, and if it works more, it'll spread. But with CRPS stuff like that, it's going to be very slow. You know.
Yeah.
Mm. But I'd like to try the
Yeah.
Calmare
It's
myself.
do you guys
It's
in Australia, do you have your
non-invasive.
medications covered?
You know. Do we have our medications? Say again?
I like that idea. Non-invasive. I would never touch anything like the spinal implants because I went into spinal shock when I had my surgery, so there's no way anybody's touching my spine.
Yeah.
So something that's non-invasive would just be amazing. However,
Yeah.
I don't know with internal organs how successful it is in terms of treating that. I don't know.
Yeah, no, no idea. But most of that is from your central nervous system. And I think that's what the CalMare is sort of fixing. It's rewiring the brain. Um, I think it's basically like a cap and then electrodes sort of put on your body, and you get like a tingling sensation, almost like a very mild electricity sort of through you. And I think that's all it is. And you go in for a few treatments
Okay.
periodically, sort of thing. Um, and you've got to be off your medications for that as well. You can't be on medications
Yep.
because it will fight against the medications help to rewire your brain and change your system and stuff as well. You know. Mm,
Yeah.
mm,
I don't know how I'd be able to get off. I could wean myself off medications very easily. It's not getting off the medications. I don't know how I would survive the pain as I'm weaning off the medications between that and treatment. Um,
yes,
I
you just
suffer
have
such
to
severe
look
pain in my
forward.
feet that it makes me sick because it's so bad.
Yep, yep. No, it is. It can be a pain that's
Yeah, I
not tolerable to bear, and it's something you can't push through. You know. Um, yeah, it's not the. Yes,
yeah,
no,
I'd
it's
have trouble with
very
that
intensive.
because well, with the ketamine, that's going to be easy because I'll just immediately start weaning off my medications. But they can do the ketamine halfway through weaning off my medications. I don't have to wait until I'm completely done. Um,
Hmm.
so that's going to be something I think that's, for me, I think that's going to be an option. I've done a lot of research lately and of what's available in Canada as well because we can't afford to travel down to States for and pay for treatments.
For treatment. Yep.
So it's got to be what's here.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Mm. Well, thank you for joining us. Is there any last things you want to say to anybody out there that's listening?
You're not alone. I've learned that don't ever put aside what's actually happening to you because it is part of this disease. You're not crazy, you're not losing it, you're not weak. Although you do feel totally, when I found these support groups, I was in a really, really dark place. I kind of hit the bottom as far down as I could go.
Yeah.
And the support groups have been phenomenal. This ability to be able to talk about it and tell some of my story, maybe somebody might be able to help. And if it lets
Awesome.
somebody else know that this does happen, you're not alone. Um,
Hmm.
reach out to somebody. There are people out there. And I know I've been doing a lot of that lately, and it's not easy to do, but you have to. And it's
Mm.
okay.
Mm. Yeah. Now, sharing your story can be it can be beneficial, especially somebody like yourself who doesn't have a therapist and doctors and stuff to listen to you either. Um, it makes it harder. You must be bottling it up, wanting just to scream out what's going on and what's happening to you, you know, because, yeah, you just want someone to listen and understand, not just listen, but
Oh,
understand,
yes.
and believe in you. Yeah, yeah, we all need it for sure. Mm,
Yeah. You need to be believed. You need to be trusted. You need to be believed. You need to be understood. And you can't walk this road alone. You need the medical support, and it's not there. And this is worldwide, Fred, because you're on the other end of the globe from us, and you have the same problems we do.
yep,
You know,
yep, yep, it is. Okay, well, thank you for joining us, Julie.
Australia is actually.
Yep, go on, I continue.
Thank you very much, Fred, for doing this. Thank you for the time you take in running your group and helping others. That's amazing, and it's amazing of you to do this. So I thank you.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. Thank you. Yeah, it's the community that makes the group. It's not me. It's everybody there that they all seem very compassionate people that have joined. Very understanding. They're good. Mm. All right. Well, we'll get going. Thank you
That's
very
great, Fred.
much.
Thank you very much.
All right. See you then.